All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Anne Fadia Ashi.
May it please the court. I move that Anne Fadia Ashi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anne Fadia Ashi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anna Simone Atala.
May it please the court, I move that Anna Simone Atala be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anna Simone Atala be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Zoe Jane Barton.
May it please the court, I move that Zoe Jane Barton be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Zoe Jane Barton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dania Panayota Bascom.
May it please the court, I move that Dania Panayota Bascom be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Dania Panayota Bascom be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ivan Joseph Brisick.
May it please the court, I move that Ivan Joseph Brisick be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ivan Joseph Brisick be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Silvana Bricina.
May it please the court, I move that Silvana Bacina be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Silvana Bricina be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jennifer Claire Chan.
May it please the court, I move that Jennifer Claire Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jennifer Claire Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yi Ray D.
May it please the court, I move that Yi Roy D be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yuri D be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rebecca Sarah Dodd.
May it please the court, I move that Rebecca Sarah Dodd be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rebecca Sarah Dodd be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Richard Gamunov.
May it please the court, I move that my brother, Richard Gamayunov, be admitted as a lawyer to this honourable court.
Let Richard Gamayunov be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jack Alexander Gilroy.
May it please the court, I move that Jack Alexander Gilroy be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jack Alexander Gilroy be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Douglas Kenneth Horn.
May it please the court, I move that Douglas Kenneth Horn be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Douglas Kenneth Horn be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Caitlin Jane Yacono.
May it please the court, I move that Caitlin Iacano be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Caitlin Jane Yacano be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tamina Koshnud Rad.
May it please the court, I move that Tamina Kushner-Rad be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tamina Kushner-Rad be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hannah Murphy.
May it please the court, I move that Hannah Murphy be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hannah Murphy be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elena Rosa Murray Pryor.
May it please the court, I move that Elena Rosa Murray Pryor be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Elena Rosa Murray Pryor be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Liam John Newland.
May it please the court, I move that Liam John Newland be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Liam John Newland be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Neela Norbu.
May it please the court, I move that Neela Norbu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Neela Norbu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maria Polich.
May it please the court, I move that Maria Polich be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maria Polich be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elizabeth Louise Pratt.
Let Elizabeth Louise Pratt be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Stefan Rajewski.
May it please the court, I move that Stefan Rajewski be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Stefan Rajewski be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tiana Marie Heather Reddy Butler.
May it please the court, I move that Tiana Marie Heather Reddy Butler be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tiana Marie Heather Reddy Butler be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Suji Shin.
May it please the court, I move that my colleague Suji Shin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Suji Shin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bribey Ann Stansfield.
the court, I move that Bribey Ann Stansfield be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Bribey Ann Stansfield be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexandra Tomic.
May it please the court, I move that Alexandra Tomic be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Alexandra Tomic be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madison Elaine Churansky.
And please the court, I move that Madison Elaine Churansky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Madison Elaine Churansky be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Damien Peter Vikovich.
May it please the court, I move that our son, Damien Peter Vikovich, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Damien Peter Vikovich be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matilda Elise Barker Wall.
May it please the court, I move that my loyal clerk, Matilda Elise Barker Wall, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Matilda Elise Barker Wall be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Antonia Francesca Maria Wayne Boyle.
May it please the court, I move that Antonia Francesca Maria Wayne Boyle be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Antonia Francesca Maria Wayne Boyle be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Deason Wu.
May it please the court, I move that Deason Wu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Deason Wu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ashley Hao Xian Shu.
May it please the court, I move that Ashley Hao Shen Shu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ashley Hao Shen Shu be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration that all those being admitted today stand up but remain in their current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Anne Fadia Ashi. Anna Simone Atala. Zoe Jane Barton. Dania Panayota Bascom. Ivan Joseph Brisick. Silvana Bracina. Jennifer Claire Chan. Yi Ray Du. Rebecca Sarah Dodd. Richard Gaymunov. Jack Alexander Gilroy. Douglas Kenneth Horn. Caitlin Jane Yakono. Tamina Koshnud Rad. Hannah Murphy. Elena Rosa Murray Pryor. Liam John Newland. Neela Norbu. Maria Polich. Elizabeth Louise Pratt. Stefan Rajewski. Tiana Marie Heather Reddy Butler. Suji Shin. Bribey Ann Stansfield. Alexandra Tomic. Madison Elaine Churansky. Damien Peter Vikovich. Matilda Elise Barker Wall. Antonia Francesca Maria Wayne Boyle. Deason Wu. Ashley Hao Xian Shu. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
I do.
Would you please be seated?
Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today to my right is Justice Slattery, who is a member of the Equity Division, and to my left, Justice Button, who is a member of the Common Law Division of the Court. Together, we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal systems had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You all worked extremely hard to get here through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbooks and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as a lawyer that never happens. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, and have understood the Constitution means much more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition some 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or more probably for your family and friends, that feels how long that you've been studying. On that note, I'm pleased to welcome those with you today or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends has been invaluable. And no doubt they've also been from time to time on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or in an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, swearing of oaths or making of declarations, and even our somewhat unusual choice of fashion. I recall on one occasion about this time some years ago, a member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. I was very sorry to disappoint. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that over the past 2 years, we've had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increase use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can undoubtedly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions, or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes which deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far and that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice in this state, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. But women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and, for example, amongst barristers in speaking roles in the High Court of Australia. It is heartening, on the other hand, to see that the local court has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and persons from diverse cultural backgrounds are still alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we'll only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our legal system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with in a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who've been around for as long as me. And you only need to look around this courtroom at your fellow admittees and then at the pictures on the wall to see that that is undoubtedly the case. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You're being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws, or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some say, of course, there are only a few lawyer jokes, the rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court, the administration of justice, and other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reason, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is foundational to the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the sole object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I show off by sprinkling in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? The answer to those questions on a moment's thought is obviously no. The best advocates make their points simply and succinctly. Now, you'll have noticed from reading various cases over the years that some of the most experienced judges could use that reminder from time to time, but don't pick up on their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I'd not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the years, too many to remember, although my colleagues take delight in reminding me of some of them. Even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that happens, all I can do is grit my teeth and remind myself it's not a legal fiction that the High Court is infallible. But occasionally, even dissenting High Court judgments become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. This may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that out throughout my legal career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, the other barristers in my chambers were always there to share my disappointment, the unfairness of the verdict, the slight tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. Now, I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those sitting with me today, I again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
All stand.